Hello everyone, welcome to this month's monthly mini, which is this little apple pattern. You can see that I've made a few appear in red and yellow. For this demonstration, I'm going to be making the apple in a green color. You will need an acrylic yarn for this pattern, medium weight 4-ply in the apple color that you want to make. You will also need a regular green and a brown to make your leaves and your stem. I am using a 3.5 or E crochet hook and a stitch marker. You will need yarn needle for weaving in ends, as well as a pair of scissors. Let's go ahead and get started. This pattern takes me approximately 20 minutes to complete, so pretty quick. Oh, I forgot to mention, have your fiber fill on hand because we will need that to stuff our apple. So I begin this pattern with a magic ring. If you prefer, you can chain 2 and make all of the stitches for round 1 into the second chain from your hook. If you need some demonstration videos on how to make some of the basic stitches such as single crochets, how to start a magic ring, head on over to the channel and I do have some demonstration videos on how to do that. So for round 1, we are going to make 6 single crochets into either the center of your magic ring or into the second chain from your hook if you're using the chain 2 method. Okay, tighten your ring a little bit. We are working in continuous rounds for this pattern, so let's go ahead and in the first stitch of the last round, we will begin round 2, and we are increasing in each stitch in this round. So increasing is then 2 stitches into 1. We're working in single crochets, so 2 single crochets into that first stitch, and I'm going to slide my stitch marker in there to mark my spot. So into the next stitch, we're going to increase, and we will increase in each stitch in this round so that by the time we get to the end of round 2, we will have made 12 single crochets. For round 3, we are going to place an increase into the next stitch, and then we're going to increase into the next. So increase in this one, and that sequence continues around with the 1 and then an increase in the next, so that by the time we get to the end of round 3, we will have made 18 single crochets. Okay, for round 4, we are simply going to make 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So by the end of round 4, we will have 18 single crochets. You can see as I'm working, my work wants to tend to curl wrong side out, so I'm just kind of pushing it back in as I go. Your starting tail should be on the inside of your work if the right side is facing towards you. For round 5, we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches, followed by an increase, and that will continue around. So there's our first stitch. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. And by the end of this round, we will have made 21 single crochets. Okay, round 6, we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches, followed by an increase. so that by the time we get to the end of round 6, we will have made 24 single crochets. And an increase. Round 7, we are just going to make 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So by the end of round 7, we will have made 24 single crochets. Okay, let's begin round 8. Round 8 will be a row we start to decrease in. So we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to decrease. So there's our first one, here's our second one, and decrease. So to decrease, we're going to place our hook into that next stitch and pull up a loop. We're then going to go immediately into the next stitch and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over with your working yarn and go through all 3 loops, and we have then taken 2 single crochets down to 1. So let's repeat that. 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then a decrease. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over and pull through our 3. So by the time we get to the end of this round, we will have made 18 single crochets. Last sequence here, 1, 2, and then a decrease. Okay, for round 9, we are going to place 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches and then decrease, and we're going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So by the end of round 9, we will have 15 single crochets. Okay, round 10. This is our last row before we start stuffing. So let's place 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then a decrease. And by the end of this round, we'll have made 10 single crochets. So it's a decrease here, single crochet, decrease, single crochet. You can see our apple looks a little bit oblong right now, but when we stuff it, it will take shape. Okay, last one here, and a decrease, and let's stuff our apple. So go ahead and begin stuffing your apple with enough fiber fill to help it begin to take shape, but without so much fiber fill that you cause gapping in your stitches. So just use your fingers and get in all the way around. You can see as you begin stuffing it down in there, it will begin to take on more of a round shape. Okay. Mine's stuffed, so let's go ahead and move on to the last round of our pattern here. Round 11. So round 11, we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And then we will decrease. So there's my first one. and then a decrease. And 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. And then we are going to fasten off and close up our apple. So leave a little bit of a tail for sewing. When you fasten off, remove your stitch marker, and here's what we have so far. So next, go ahead with your yarn needle and the tail of yarn left for sewing. We're going to thread that, and we are going to pass the needle under the front loop of the stitches of round 11 back and forth, so whip stitching in that front loop back and forth all the way around. And when you get to the last one, you just gently pull that string, that tail of yarn, and it will close the apple body up. And then you can weave your end through. And trim it away. And right now we just have this circle. You can go ahead and adjust the shape if you want as you go, since that fiber fill can kind of have getting moved around when you finish off. And here's what we have so far. So for the next step, we are going to make the stem and the leaves, which is super easy. Go ahead and cut a long piece of brown yarn and a long piece of green yarn. And I probably cut them longer than I need to, but I find it's easier to work with. So once you have your pieces, simply go ahead and tie a knot into one end of those two pieces of yarn. Just like that. And then trim away those excess ends. So you've got just a knot here right at the bottom that's not going to come out, just right there. Then we're going to take the two ends here and thread them through your yarn needle. You might find it helpful to have a yarn needle with a larger eye for this, since you're going to take two pieces through. You can do what I'm doing and do one at a time if that's easier. I frayed that out pretty good. I'm going to trim the end away and put it back through there. Okay, and then once you have it through both pieces through, what you're going to do is come up from the bottom. So you have the middle of your magic ring right there, the starting point, and you're going to pass that needle right through there and out the top of your apple, just right out the middle where you closed, and just gently pull that through until the end is right there. I'm going to remove my needle, and then just take your needle and stuff that knot right into the magic ring. Just stuff it right inside so it's hidden away, just like that. And now you have two ends sticking out the top of your apple. So what I'm going to do is make the stem first and just trim it down here, and it will stick straight out like that. And then I'm going to trim the green down a little lower. So here's what I have right now. I'm going to take the end of my needle and just gently separate those strands of yarn on the green. And then you can leave those as long as you like. I'm going to trim mine down a little bit more. And here's for the final step of creating your apple. And we can trim the stem later if we need to. Take a piece of yarn, the same color as your apple, and thread your yarn needle. You're going to come again from the underside, just outside your magic ring, and up through the top on one side of the stem, just like that. Leave a tail of yarn down here. Don't pull it all the way through. Then bring your yarn needle to the other side of the stem and pass it right back through the underside of the apple on the opposite side that you entered. Pull it through. You can remove your yarn needle. You now have two ends sticking out the bottom of your apple. And what you're going to do is gently pull until the top of your apple dimples, just like that. And then we are going to tie a double knot into the bottom so that that dimple stays held in place. And then all you'll need to do is trim away those ends. And then my stem is a little long, so I'm going to cut it just a little bit. And there we have it, your completed apple.